Okay, we are officially starting the My Thoughts. Okay, so when it comes to, I'm just gonna give the game a rating at the very beginning. 8 out of 10. Good game. Would play again. There were a few parts here and there that yes, I definitely didn't like, but then for most of the time, I did enjoy the game, and I thought that it was like a fun time, and I was really enjoying it. Now, there was the first thing that I'm going to talk about because it literally just happened to me, which they should immediately change because it burned the heck out of my soul a moment ago. And this is the fact that you cannot increase or skip the speed of cutscenes or credits. And that's really quite stupid. I had to watch them twice because I forgot to save after beating the game the first time. Now, originally I thought, okay, I'll just record the My Thoughts while this is happening. But no, of course, I'm not allowed to do that because some dumbass wants to sit on the mic the entire time. And I couldn't mute him because, of course, while you're in credit scenes, it doesn't let you hit any button at all. So they really need to change that. It's quite stupid. Okay, but now let's get back to the rest. So, things that I liked about this game was just like the whole premises of it, hunting monsters, the way you did it, how you just need to. It's kind of like fighting like a Dark Souls boss, where you learn how to fight them as you go along, and then because of that, I don't really know how to like describe it. You get better at the fight as time goes on. You learn their skills, you learn their abilities, and then you go, haha, I now know how to beat you. Nope. And yeah, I like that idea behind everything. So when it comes to that, I liked it. I also liked the fact that when it came to like how classes worked in this game, such as weapons were their class instead of actually like picking a class at the very beginning. That's just something else that I enjoyed about it. Now, we're gonna get into like some other different topics. I enjoyed the maps, but I kind of wish that it was a bit easier to tell where I'm going. Such as if you're going up or down, the only way you're really telling is by you just see like the plus symbol sort of looking thing, where it's just like, or more like a subtraction symbol, which is like the thing that I'm looking at over there where I just climbed up. It really only shows like a little dash saying like you're going up or down here, which I don't like. Now, I enjoy the Palico. I enjoy how the game honestly kind of focuses a good amount with playing with others, but you can still play it completely on your own if you really feel like it. Oh, hello there. I thought that each one of these things were like pretty good in general. I enjoyed like the armor system, how all the armor looked, things like that, just blatant stuff when it comes to little degrees of that. I thought I liked how like each fight was kind of unique but a little bit similar in some ways, such as like the Radoban was like the same type of monster as the Uragon, or the thing that had mud on it from the whatever the heck it's called, the Wildspire. Just things like that. Just the fact that like there were the similarities between their fight, but then there were also differences enough to make it fun to like fight these different monsters. Now, something that I would mess with or tweak a little bit is the AoE of some attacks, such as Nurga Flippin' Gante. His one attach where he dashes backwards, flies into the air, goes backwards a little bit, and then dashes forward is so AoE, I could not physically dodge it. And it literally one-shots you, so guess what? I should be capable of dodging it. And that really very much annoyed me at how just like no matter what I did, I always got hit by this ability. I just went in a circle. What else can I say? I liked... I'm not quite sure. So I'm going to move on to what I would honestly add about this. And one of them to, like, probably, like, long-term players is going to be, like, why in the world would you do that type of an idea? I'll just go with that one first, honestly. And that is going to be the raid. So you're probably hearing that and thinking, like, this is not an MMO. You're not supposed to be getting together to do some giant sort of raid. How would that even work? Would it just be one monster that's really big type deal? And no. What I have in plan for would be more along the lines of each individual area, such as where we are, the Ancient Forest, the Wildstar Waste, the Elder's Recess, the Coral Highlands, and I can't think of the name of Rotten Valley. Each have a raid to them. So basically what it would be is that it would put you into like a matchmaking type thing, or maybe you have to do it with like a group of friends, maybe. And you'd have an unlimited time limit. It would put you in like a whole new area so like it would still be based here, but it would be like an off area that you wouldn't have never been before. And while you're here, you have to do 3 different things, and then you'll fight a giant boss. So the 3 different things don't necessarily have to be like a major insane fight, but at the same time, that's what they'll probably pretty close to be. Such as when it comes to this area, the Ancient Forest. When you first arrive, you'd have to fight something like an Anjanath, or like, yeah, we'll just say an Anjanath here. And it'll just be a regular old Anjanath fight, nothing special, and then you'll beat him on the first stage and everything, and it'll be fine. The second fight, you'll have to fight a Rathian and a Rathalos at the same time. And yeah, something along those lines where they have to fight both those at the exact same time. And then the third fight will be that you have to fight a Tobi Kadashi, a great, and 2 great Jagresses. And each one of them will be like the enraged or tempered versions. And then the very final fight would be like an Elder Dragon sort of deal, or maybe just a very insanely large wyvern that we haven't actually seen yet. It would just be a raid-specific boss. And then something like the Rotten Valley, you'd fight like the 3 Gyroses, you'd fight the 3 of them at the same time. The second fight, you'd fight a Radoban, like an empowered one that's tempered. The third one, you'd fight empowered 100 Hornachors and 100 of the wasp things at the exact same time. And when I say empowered, I mean they'll do more damage, they'll take more damage. And like something like that. Then you'll move on to, and then the last fight is you'll fight a empowered come on. Odogaron, or, yeah, I believe it's an Odogaron, but he'll be empowered in a different form, such as he'll be blue instead of red, his tail will be all spiked, his claws will be bigger, he'll act like his mane, the hair on his back will be on fire with a blue type fire, and something like that, where he'll just be empowered. And of course, there'll be one in every single area. So I'm not going to go into each specific one like I could. I've actually legitimately thought of how each one would go. But, really? You followed me this far. Why? So, yeah. Now, a class that I would like to see isn't really something that I bet too many others would like to see, and is more of like my own specific taste, such as it would be to do whatever the heck it's called. It would be more of like a magic like ranged class. So what you'll actually do in this class is you will have like a mace looking thing as like your base melee, but upon using your other combos, it will cause more magic effects, such as like cause lightning to strike, shoot a fireball, flood an area with water, or not like an entire area, just kind of like make a giant bubble and drop it on an enemy type deal. Just magic. Magic is really the whole point of it. The reason this is just because it's a fantasy game. You know, most fantasy things have magic, and you know, that'd be kind of nice. So that's really all I have when it comes to weapon classes. I find it, I wish that you could kind of mess with the hub a bit more, like the hub world, when you're like accepting your missions and everything, such as I wish that each guy gave you missions kind of like the guy that you can grow things with. How you can grow 3 things at the same time from doing his missions, but you only started being able to grow 1. Right now I'm only capable of growing 2 because I didn't really do all his missions yet. And like so on and so forth in that regard. But I wish that like every single type of person had it to where if you talk to like the Meowster, you can upgrade him a lot of times. And when you're upgrading people, you see a physical difference with them. And by this, I mean that you actually see that like his kitchen grew in size, the farm keeper's tree gets bigger, and like plant potting areas go bigger around it, so on and so forth of that regard. Kind of like whenever you change rooms, how your room actually gets bigger, there are new things you can do in it, it's just, and it looks nicer, so that sort of deal. And that I wish you could do with the hub. I wish that the story actually caused each of the voice actors to talk every time their person said anything. Except for when we're actually in missions. I'm fine with the voice actor just saying like a single word when we're just in a mission and he just goes, yeah! When then on like the right hand side it says, use the Vigor Wasp or something like that. The reason that is because that really doesn't need a full-on introduction. That just kind of, it's there. Yeah, it doesn't need a full-on introduction.
Well now.
But when it comes to like any cutscenes or part of the stories that I just rapid hit X, like I'm not gonna read all that. I don't understand why they go back and forth between going through it's going to just show me this to I have to read it. And I'm not going to read it, so I think that they should have had their person say it each time. Now, I agree that, like, yeah, not everyone's going to be like me, and they're going to read it, but at the same time, I would think that it would just be a better idea to not force us to read it, and have us read it on our own free will. Type deal. And that, honestly, like... that's really it when it comes to this game. There are very little things that I would change about it. As I said, I gave it like an 8 out of 10. I haven't played any other Monster Hunter games, so I really can't even tell you, like based off of other games, what I would like to see and what I'd not like to see off of like those, or I can't rate it as a Monster Hunter game specifically, like how I did a little bit with, Assassin's Creed, because it's like, as I said, like as Assassin's Creed game, it's terrible. As a game on its own, it's okay. And because I haven't played any other Monster Hunters, I can only rate it on its own. So, but yeah, I really got all my major points across. I wish that there were kind of more variance between monsters, I guess I could say. In the sense of, like, how can I put this? Like, they look different, depending on where you fight them, how you fight them, so on and so forth in that. Such as like the high rankings one, Pookie Pookie, will have a lot more purple on his body, but a low ranking one will have a lot less. High ranking Anjanath will just, he'll be more like red instead of pink. I wish that there was more variants in other forms, such as not just like a pink Rathian and a regular Rathian and a Azure Rathalos and a regular Rathalos. Is I wish that there was more along the lines of like a regular Belzegeese and a black Belzegeese type deal, such as like the Black Diablos. And so on and so forth in that regard. I would have liked that just to like vary up the combat a little bit in different senses. What else is there? That's not what button I wanted to hit. Now I think that the amount they have right now is good and all, but still I would have liked to see more. Okay, and I wish. Okay, there's one big idea, but this would require like Capcom and Monster Hunt and like all the companies to agree to a really big contract in order for this to happen. So I would never actually expect it. But I wish there was kind of like a side-off series of Monster Hunter, either made by the same company and everything, but it's not like the next Monster Hunter installment. It's more of just like a different game that is based off of Monster Hunter. That, like, of course, like Monster Hunter would be a direct quality of it and everything, and people would know that this is Monster Hunter. So, and that would be, I wish that I was fighting like robotic or cybernetic monsters, and when I'm like getting their parts, I'm getting robot parts. I know it sounds kind of odd hearing it, but if you honestly think about like fighting a Jagras that's half cyborg, and then all the pieces that you get from him and the armor that you get from him is also the same. It's half cybernetic, half actual like skin, and so on and so forth. I just think that would look really cool. But if you did that in like current Monster Hunter, it just would not fit at all, which is why I said it would be more of like a spin-off side thing, where it's like an alternate dimension from the actual Monster Hunter games, where it's in the same universe, but it's an alternate dimension. So yeah, it would mess with like BioShock Infinite levels of mindfuck. Because you're just like in another dimension fighting robotic monsters that are like turned into robotic because they originally start as monsters, but then somehow, some way, they change and transform into cybernetic. I didn't really think about that form of the lore, I'm not gonna lie. But yeah. And that's really all I have when it comes to Monster Hunter World. Now, I loved the game. I'm going to continue to play it. I think that overall it's been a blast to play, and that they did a really nice job on it. There have been quite a few times where I've been really angry, such as upon getting hit with stupid attacks when it knocks me over, and then decides to immediately paralyze me, and I'm just like, really? Like, why was that necessary? Why could you not have just hit me with your major damage attack and not paralyzing me, letting him hit me with another major damage attack? Like, I understand how that can happen if you're using like realistic physics and everything, because upon getting hit with like a really big attack, you're obviously gonna be like stunned and be like, oh my god, and like have your head shaken up basically. But at the same time, most of the time you don't roll, decide to stand up, and then finally have your head start hurting. You just get up, or you just lay there, and your like head is just aching. So like that's how I really would have changed that as well. And that's really honestly the only other thing I have to change. Overall, this is a great game. I would love to play it. When it comes to both this games and any others, if you are like thinking of buying Monster Hunter, go ahead, do it. Honestly, it's a great game. I've heard that this Monster Hunter specifically is a really good game to start with, but as I said, I never played any others, so yeah. And, you know, if you happen to know anyone from Capcom or agree with me on anything, please leave a comment. If you know the key people from Capcom, tell them of my existence. Tell them of my ideas. Say, hey, why don't you try changing this up type deal. And as I said, if you agree with anything that I've said or disagree or have any other complaints for yourself, please leave a comment. I'll gladly get back to you and discuss anything that you happen to say, and I'll give constructive criticism no matter what it is. So thank you all very much for watching. I hope to see you all next time, and I'm going to bid you all adieu. Goodbye.